Emmerdale teased that beneath the gentle rhythms of village life, a fault line of desire and deceit has opened, threatening to swallow every heart in its path. From the moment Gabby Thomas first rebuilt her life, after the collapse of her marriage to Nicky, she had vowed never to let herself be hurt again. Those early days were a blur of hesitant smiles and cautious steps, each one taken in the shadow of the pain left behind. Nicky's infidelities had shattered her trust, leaving her wary of every advance, every kind word that might disguise a hidden dagger. Yet over time, as the seasons turned on the cobbles of Emmerdale, Gabby found herself daring to hope once more. It was on an ordinary summer's evening that she first noticed Vinny Dingle standing by the old stone wall outside the woolpack. He had always been kind to her, carrying her shopping when she'd sprained her ankle, offering a steady ear when she'd needed to unburden her worries. But tonight there was something different in his eyes. The golden light of the setting sun caught the gentle creases at the corners, the warmth there hinting at something deeper. Gabby paused mid-step, breath-catching, as he turned to her and gave a shy, earnest grin. From that moment, their worlds intertwined. Mornings found them sharing steaming cups of coffee at Eric's farm shop, where Gabby would linger over the foam patterns while Vinny sketched plans for renovating his mother's old caravan. Afternoons were spent wandering the lanes beyond the village, fingers brushing as they passed horse paddocks, and ancient hedgerows heavy with blackberries. In his presence, Gabby rediscovered laughter, full-throated, unguarded laughter that she had thought lost forever. Vinny, for his part, was captivated by Gabby's resilience. He admired the way she threw herself into her photography business, capturing the everyday beauty of Emmerdale. Its weathered doorsteps, the soft curl of steam rising from Yas Cafe, the riot of color in the village allotments. He watched her frame each shot with reverence, as though she believed that in every image lay a fragment of magic. To Vinny, each day with Gabby was proof that life could be remade, remolded, and made whole again. Their courtship carried the gentle gravity of something fated. When Gabby confided in him about her fractured marriage, how Nicky's betrayals had left her blooded but unbowed, Vinny held her close beneath the lilac-laden arch in the Dingle garden. He spoke softly of trust and healing, promising that he would honor her heart with every breath he took. And so, in the golden haze of late spring, he asked her to be his, offering a simple silver band set with a single moonstone. She said yes with tears of joy, and Emmerdale's cobbles seemed to shine in celebration. Yet as plans for their engagement party unfolded, balloons to be strung in the woolpack's corner snug, letters spelling out, Gabby plus Vinny forever, across the garden fence, another story was quietly unfolding in the wings. Commie McIntyre, the vivacious newcomer, who had recently become enmeshed in village life, watched Vinny from afar with a longing that mirrored his own. She had grown close to him during his repairs at her family's stables, sharing cups of tea and tales of childhood mischief. Commie's laughter was contagious, and in her bright green eyes, Vinny sometimes saw an escape from the gentle, but sober calm that Gabby's love demanded. It began innocuously enough. A chance brush of hands as they carried a trough of apples to the horses, a shared joke while mucking out stalls, the electric charge of shared glances in the dim light of the tack room. Commie's presence awakened something in Vinny, a part of him that craved freedom, spontaneity, and the thrill of the forbidden. He chastised himself at first, recalling the promises he had whispered to Gabby beneath that lilac arch. But temptation, once tasted, proved a heady draught. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the air hummed with the promise of rain, Vinny found himself leaning against the stable door, watching Commie brush a bay mare's gleaming coat. The rhythmic sweep of her brush, the way her hair fell in loose waves over her shoulder, it was all he could do not to step forward. She looked up, and in that instant, they shared a breath, a wordless understanding. "You're distracted," she said softly, voice husky. "Thinking about her?" He hesitated, mind a swirl of guilt and desire. "Gabby, she's everything I want." He ran a hand through his hair. But I can't stop thinking about you. Commy's lips curved into a slow, knowing smile. Then don't. She set her brush aside and approached him. The scent of hay and rain lingered around her, mixing with something more electric. I want you, Vinny. I've wanted you since we first met. His heart thundered, fear, excitement, the thrill of potential ruin all mixed into a potent cocktail. He remembered Gabby's trust, the softness in her eyes, the strength in her heart. Yet here, in the hush of the stable, with Commy's breath on his cheek, he felt something else, a reckless yearning that whispered of escape. I can't, he whispered, lips trembling. I promised her. Commy's hand cupped his face, thumb brushing across his cheekbone. Promises get broken, she murmured. And sometimes, what you crave most is worth the pain. He pulled back, panic rising. No, I have to think of Gabby. But when she leaned in, brushing her lips against his in a kiss that tasted of hay and honeyed anticipation, he found himself responding. One kiss became two, and in the swirl of heat and temptation, Vinny forgot everything but the moment. The world beyond those stable walls slipped away, as he surrendered to an ecstasy that was as thrilling as it was forbidden. When they finally broke apart, breathing hard, Vinny's mind spun. Commy's eyes were dark with triumph, and something else, something tender. I'll wait for you, she promised. When you're ready. He watched her walk away, heart pounding with both elation and dread. The stable door creaked shut behind her, leaving him alone with the echo of his own betrayal. Over the next few days, Vinny's world became a tightrope of lies. He answered Gabby's excited calls about finalizing the engagement details with practiced warmth, all the while hiding his head in his hands at night, tormenting himself over his lapse. He and Gabby spent an idyllic afternoon choosing flowers at the florist's, his arm around her, her laughter echoing like chimes. He thought of Commy's touch, and how every fiber of his being yearned for it. Gabby, oblivious, spoke of wedding venues. Perhaps the grapevine-covered pergola in the Dingles' courtyard, or intimate dinner at the Woolpack after a quick, celebratory service at the church. She brushed a strand of hair behind her ear and smiled at him, her eyes shining. I can't wait to call you my husband. He squeezed her hand, swallowing the guilt. Neither can I. But that night, when Gabby drifted off beside him, dreaming of lace veils and wedding cake, Vinny slipped out of their shared flat and walked with heavy steps toward the McIntyre stables. Each step felt like a betrayal, yet the pull was irresistible. The lanterns glowed softly through the open stable door, and he found Commy waiting, her expression equal parts invitation and accusation. She took him into her arms without a word. Their second encounter was a desperate clash of bodies and wills, fueled by the thrill of stolen passion. When dawn streaked grey across the fields, Vinny staggered away, torn between relief and despair. He had surrendered to desire, and however briefly, he had forgotten Gabby's unwavering faith in him. In the days that followed, whispers ran like wildfire through the village. A witness claimed to have seen Vinny's battered boots at the stables after midnight. Another swore they heard hushed voices carried on the wind. Gabby, attuned to every nuance, noticed the sudden tremor in Vinny's voice when she asked about his late-night walk, the furtive glances he cast at his phone. She confronted him one evening in the Woolpack's snug corner, face fraught with confusion. Vinny, are you hiding something from me? She asked, voice trembling. He forced a smile, reaching across the table to take her hand. Nothing you need to worry about, Gabby. Just work stuff. Her eyes filled with hurt. But you're shutting me out. You're not yourself these days. He swallowed hard, guilt coiling in his gut like a serpent. I'm sorry. I'm under a lot of stress. She nodded slowly, letting the moment pass, though the unspoken question lingered between them like a knife. That night, As Gabby lay awake wondering what lay behind his silence, Vinny lay beside her, eyes fixed on the ceiling, replaying Comis' whispered promises. The engagement party loomed, only 2 days away, and Gabby had poured her heart into every detail. The Woolpack's garden was to be festooned with fairy lights. A band of local musicians would play their favorite songs. Friends and neighbors would raise a glass to their new beginning. For Gabby, it was more than a celebration, it was proof that love could triumph over despair. But for Vinny, it was a countdown to either resolution or ruin. Each tick of the clock brought him closer to a moment where he would have to choose, honor Gabby's trust, and break free from Comis' magnetic pull, or surrender once more to the reckless passion that Comi offered. As the evening sun dipped low on the eve of the engagement, Vinny found himself alone in the Dingles' courtyard, surrounded by lanterns waiting to be lit. He closed his eyes, feeling the weight of the world pressing down. In his mind echoed Comis' words and Gabby's laughter, two forces at war within him. In the hush before the revelry, Emmerdale held its breath. Would Vinny summon the courage to step back from the brink? Or would desire claim him again, leaving Gabby to face the ultimate betrayal? And if she learned the truth, as whispers promised she would her heart shatter? Or would the woman who had weathered so much find it within herself to forgive once more? Tonight, under the soft glow of the lanterns, destinies would be decided. And the echoes of this choice would reverberate through every cottage on the cobbles, forever altering the tapestry of lives bound together in the valley. Dusk settled over Emmerdale as the final lanterns were lit in the Woolpack garden, their warm glow illuminating rows of white chairs and a small dais draped in blush-pink tulle. Vinny stood alone behind the bar, polishing glasses with trembling hands, each scratch of the cloth against glass echoing the turmoil in his chest. Earlier that afternoon, he'd slipped away from the flower shop, claiming sudden back pain, but in truth he'd needed a moment alone, to steel himself for what lay ahead. In less than an hour, Gabby would arrive in her pale blue dress, her hair swept into a loose chignon, each breath she took full of hopeful anticipation. And Vinny would stand before her, promising his devotion, even as the guilt over Comis' kiss still burned on his lips. Inside the snug, Carla and Chuz exchanged nervous smiles as they arranged platters of canapes. "She's radiating," Carla whispered, adjusting the fairy lights around a trellis. "You'd never suspect she's on the brink of heartbreak." Chuz frowned. "I hope Vinny knows what he's doing. Gabby's been through enough." Their conversation drifted as the first guests began to arrive, laughter and music spilling into the courtyard. Gabby emerged from behind the doors, breath catching as she saw the scene. Friends gathered around, bouquets of peonies and hydrangeas in their hands, white candles flickering in glass jars. Her eyes shone with tears of joy as she caught sight of Vinny stepping forward to meet her. His smile was tender, but when their eyes met, Gabby sensed a flicker of something unsteady. Love, yes. But also something darker, shadowing his gaze. He took her hand and led her to the dais, where the local vicar, Father Byrne, waited with a soft smile. As the ceremony began, Vinny's heart hammered against his ribs. Vows were exchanged, promises of steadfast love, unwavering support, of choosing one another every single day. When it came his turn, his voice caught on Comis' whispered promise from days before. "I want you," he swallowed. "Gabby, from the moment I met you, I knew you were my home." He paused, tilting his gaze upward. Behind him, through the open doors of the Woolpack, he saw Comi standing at the edge of the crowd, her head bowed, hand to her mouth in silent plea. He dropped his eyes, finishing the vow on autopilot. "In sickness and in health, for better, for worse, until death do us part." The words felt hollow on his tongue. When the vicar asked Gabby for her vow, she spoke with luminous conviction. "I promise to love you without measure, to honor your heart, and to stand by you through all life brings." She smiled at Vinny, and for a moment, he saw only her, brave, beautiful, and trusting. Then the music rose, the guests applauded, and Vinny slipped the ring onto her finger. Joy swept through the woolpack like wind through wheat, save for one heart, twisted by guilt. Later, the garden tables glittered with champagne flutes, and laughter wove around Vinny like brambles. He hugged Gabby close, her perfume a sweet anchor to reality. "I love you," he whispered, voice thick. She pressed her cheek to his chest. "And I love you," she replied. His hands slid down her back, fingertips grazing the small bruise she bore from a spilled drink earlier, a reminder of how careful he had to be, how easily things could unspool. Across the terrace, Commie lingered near the edge of the crowd, arms folded as she watched them. In her gaze burned both longing and resolve. Tonight, she had planned to confront Vinny one last time, to demand he choose her or face the consequences of his betrayal. But now, watching Gabby's laughter light up the gathering, a pang of regret pierced her heart. She realized she'd become the villain in a story that belonged to two people far more deserving of happiness. Commie turned away, stepping through the blooming archway toward the empty stables. Inside, feathered lanterns cast soft shadows on the bales of hay. She found herself reaching for her phone, thumb hovering over Vinny's name. Should she text him? Tell him that she would leave the valley for good? Or should she confront him here, once and for all? Before she could decide, footsteps sounded behind her. "Commie." It was Vinny, exhaustion etched into his features. He stepped into the lantern light, shoulders slumped. "I need to talk." Her heart pounded. "You owe me an explanation," she said quietly. "About us." "About her." His gaze darted to the dusty floor. "I made a mistake," he confessed. "It was a moment of weakness, but it meant nothing. You said you'd wait, but I realized today that I can't hurt her. I love Gabby." He let the words hang in the quiet. Commie closed her eyes, tears slipping free. "I saw you up there. You promised her forever." She bit her lip. "I need to leave, Vinny. I can't stand in the shadows of your life anymore." He reached for her hand. "Please, stay friends. You mean too much to me." She pulled away gently. "Not like this." With a final, sorrowful look, she slipped out into the night, leaving Vinny alone with his remorse. Back in the garden, the party roared on, but Vinny felt a chasm opening beneath his feet. He rejoined Gabby by the bar, offering her a glass of bubbly. She accepted with a radiant smile, yet he detected in her eyes a subtle sorrow, the trace of a question unasked. He steadied himself. "Everything's okay," he lied. "Are you happy?" Her lips curved, but her eyes held uncertainty. "Yes, beyond happy." She touched his hand. "I'm so glad you're mine." He nodded, crushing his guilt behind a smile. As the music slowed, couples drifted onto the small dance floor. Vinny guided Gabby into his arms. They swayed beneath canopies of fairy lights, soft laughter echoing all around. In that intimate bubble, Vinny closed his eyes and breathed in Gabby's scent. Tomorrow, he vowed, he would confess everything. He would bear the pain of her disappointment rather than continue living this lie. He would lean on the mercy he'd earned by loving her so fiercely. And if she could not forgive him, he would walk away, leaving her the freedom she deserved. Outside, the band struck up a jaunty Irish reel, prompting cheers and a flood of dancers. Gabby pulled Vinny into the throng, spinning and laughing as Emmerdale's friends celebrated new beginnings. From the edge of the crowd, Commie watched the whirl of movement, a bittersweet smile on her lips. She whispered into the night, "May she be the one to heal him." As the hours stretched into midnight, the lanterns guttered low, casting long, wavering shadows across the courtyard. Vinny and Gabby departed arm in arm, slipping into the quiet lane beyond the woolpack. Gabby paused beneath the horse-chestnut tree, looking up at the rustling leaves. This was perfect, she breathed. He brushed a stray hair from her face, eyes brimming with both love and dread. "It's just the beginning," he said softly. She smiled up at him, and in that instant, he knew the moment of truth could not be delayed any longer. Inside their flat, Gabby removed her shoes and collapsed onto the bed, exhaustion and bliss mingling in her sigh. Vinny lingered by the door, heart pounding. He closed the distance, seating himself beside her. She reached for his hand. "Thank you," she whispered. "For everything." He drew a breath, closing his eyes. "Gabby, there's something I need to tell you." Her gaze lifted, curiosity flickering. He swallowed, torn between vulnerability and fear. Outside, the village slept under a blanket of stars. Within the flat, fate trembled on Vinny's lips, every second birthing either salvation or ruin. And as he opened his mouth to confess, Emmerdale held its breath, waiting to see whether love, tested by desire and betrayal, would endure or shatter into irreparable fragments.